Hey guys, it's me. I hope this is working. This is my first time doing it through Streamyard. So I hope that you can see and hear me. Okay, good. It is working. I have the control panel thing for the live broadcast open in YouTube because I'm paranoid, even though I followed all of the instructions very clearly because it's straightforward. I thought that I was going to be stupid and mess something up because that's just how things are. But I hope that you're all doing well. I want to clear up a few things. Podcast. Going to start recording that soon. If you didn't see my post on Twitter earlier, feel free to follow that at CanYouSeeUs_pod. That is CanYouSeeUs_pod at Twitter. It's working. Yes, I know. Hi, Ankar. Hi, Christina. I'm so glad that this is working. So we're going to start recording very soon. I'm just ironing out a few last details. Also, I'm in the middle of a move, as some of you may or may not know. So the background here that you see behind me is going to change significantly very soon, meaning that I'm going to be exiled to a different room. So, and a different place altogether at some point. So, that's always fun and stressful, but I want to get to the meat of this today. Again, this is my first time using StreamYard because I wanted to share my screen because this is easier to do than dealing with OBS and all that nonsense. So let's start with our first thing. If I can pull that up. All right. I know that there are some chat comments happening. I am sorry. I will get to those in a moment. I just have to share my screen really quick. All right. So now you guys are seeing this news article and not me, which is great because that means that I can lean in closer and read it without you looking at my forehead. So this is from Tom's Guide. This is a rumor. Nothing is confirmed because when I Googled this earlier, I couldn't find any other reputable sources. It says, forget the Apple Watch 6, a cheaper Apple Watch SE is coming. It very well might, but who knows? All right. I actually have to make this bigger because I am blind. Okay, here we go. Apple is known for making premium devices, but it occasionally makes more affordable gadgets as a gateway into its ecosystem. We've seen this with the iPhone SE 2020, and now the same could be happening for the Apple Watch. From the rumors so far, we pretty much know Apple is working on the Apple Watch 6, likely to come with a host of new features such as blood oxygen monitoring and a new optical sensor to replace the digital crown. But according to a reasonably reliable tech leaker, Kamaya, I'm going to go with Kamaya, on Twitter, an Apple Watch SE is coming in early 2021. And then there's some links, and then there's a video that we're not going to watch. Currently, there are two versions of Apple Watch available, the Apple Watch Series 5 and the Apple Watch Series 3. The former is Cupertino's premium smartwatch, while the older Apple Watch 3 has seen its price dropped to appeal to people who want an Apple Watch for a cheaper price at the expense of new features. But Kamaya has claimed the Apple Watch SE will replace the Apple Watch 3 as the budget smartwatch for the company. And then we have an embedded tweet from Kamaya at Kamaya KJ. That is KOMIYA_KJ. The tweet says, Apple Watch SE, old design, replacement of Series 3, S6 and W4 chip, all 16 gigabytes, only aluminum model, so there's no stainless steel, there's no ceramic models. Digital crown with haptic feedback, ? Bluetooth 5.0, international SOS calling, only cellular models, obviously, because I think that's the same for the newer models now anyway, that if you have, if you're abroad and you need to do emergency SOS, that you can only do that on cellular, obviously, because like that would make sense. Coming next March, same price as Series 3. And then there's like a stock video of Apple Watches. The leaker noted the Apple Watch SE will retain the old design of the Apple Watch, meaning it'll have the digital crown, and it will only come in an aluminum version. However, it's on the inside where Apple Watch SE is set to impress, as Kamaya expects it to have the S6 processor and W4 wireless chip. Those chips are set to be upgraded over the S5 and W3 chips found in the Apple Watch Series 5. And the S6 and W4 are also expected to come in the Apple Watch 6. So it's literally like the SE, but a watch. Like the SE phone, but a watch. It's the chip and the processor as the like current generation, but different size, you know, like the old size of the casing and the cheaper model. So it's, you know, more economical, apparently. This means that while the Apple Watch SE won't have the latest smartwatch design, Kino's engineers. If I read the next sentence, I was wrong. So it'll have the same chipset, it looks like, as the current watch, but not the new one that's coming out next month or whenever that's coming out. It will have impressive specs for a wearable. This is basically the same approach Apple took with the iPhone SE. The handset has a rather old design, but has the same A13 Bionic chipset found in the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. Literally what I just said. The Apple Watch SE is tipped to cost the same as the Apple Watch Series 3, which starts at $199. So it could be the perfect partner to the iPhone SE come March 2021, when it's expected to be revealed. And if Apple upgrades the iPhone SE at the same time, we could see a budget line of Apple devices expand into an ecosystem for people who don't want to spend large wads of cash. Okay, so that was just fascinating. How do I stop sharing my screen? There we go. Hi, I'm back. All right, so a couple of thoughts that I have here. One, why are they saying that it's going to be announced and dropping in March? Because don't the watches usually drop at the same time as the phones in the fall, or am I crazy? And if so, if this is dropping in March, then I'm hoping it's going to be a separate drop from this generation watch, because I really need a new watch, and I do not want this SE. I want the newer one with the better processor and, like, I mean, the bigger design, because the casing is the same. It's just that the newer, the 4 and the 5 and the 6, they are longer by 2 millimeters than the other ones. I have somebody trying to join. So I did give this broadcast link out to a couple people because we had talked about possibly having guests when discussing the Molly Burke NFB thing that she did, which I watched. I don't know if any of you did, but let's look at the chat here. All right. Hi, Jasmine. Christina, how long have you lived in that house? Since like my whole life, basically. So where I am currently, I've lived here my whole life. My parents had the house renovated in 2003, I think, and so, you know, like, expanded, but they want to retire down to Virginia, which is fine. I just didn't expect that I was going to go with them, but that's okay. It is what it is. Did you also look at TechCrunch and Applebit sources as well? No, because when I Googled this, like, I literally typed in Apple Watch SE, and I think I told you this earlier when we were on FaceTime, the only results that came up were like Tom's Guide and a few other sources. There was a Screen Rant article about this too, which I think was really odd, because I thought that Screen Rant was just for like TV and movies, but I'm clearly wrong about that. So I haven't seen anything about it on Mac Rumors or Macworld or TechCrunch. I haven't seen anything about it in the Apple Watch subreddit. So this is why it leads me to believe that it's a rumor, because like literally nobody on the internet is talking about this except for these like obscure, well, not obscure, Tom's Guide is not obscure, except for these certain websites and this one guy on Twitter who leaks things. And I don't know how reputable he is compared to the other leakers, because I don't know. But I'm just excited for the iPhone 12. Yeah, so hi Divided by Sight. I have an iPhone 11. I upgraded from a 6S. I unboxed that phone last year, the 11. I think the link to that is now in like all of my videos, because I do occasionally use it to film and do screen shares on my phones and all that. I hope the AirPods Studio will have the same wireless chip as the new watch if these are coming out. AirPods Studio, what? I haven't heard anything about that because I don't follow the AirPods things. My ears like don't fit Apple earbuds because like life hates me. But that's okay, because that also means that I don't have to pay $200 for a pair of earbuds. I don't know what AirPods go for these days, so I'm just throwing a number out there because I literally have no idea. The iPhone SE models usually drop in March or April. Okay, so launching a budget watch alongside a budget iPhone would make sense. That does make a lot more sense. Thank you. Thank you, Madeline, because I call myself an Apple fan, and here I am contradicting myself because I don't know what the hell's going on. I didn't like the Apple Watch. Yeah, I can see why. It's definitely not for everybody. Let's see. Hi, Gabby. But if it's a budget watch, it makes sense to stagger it out. Yeah, you're right. I completely agree. Yeah, I thought so. All Screen Rant does is post random top 10s like Watch Mojo. That's exactly what I thought, because I've seen some of the Screen Rant videos on YouTube, and I was like, since when did I talk about tech? iPhone 11 2 upgraded from an 8. Yeah, my upgrade from the 6S to the 11 was like, okay, I'm holding my hands right now next to each other. My right hand is down on my desk. My left hand is like shooting up out of frame. My right hand down on the desk is the 6S. My left hand up out of frame above my head is the iPhone 11. It like was just a total game changer. It went from here to all the way up here because it was just so much better. And my old phone kept dying and it was terrible. They're supposed to be over-ear AirPods. That's what I thought, because they had Beats Studio, which I have a pair of Beats. They're purple. I've had them for 4 or 5 years. I don't wear them usually, but I have them. They're actually not on me. They are in Maine. You're sounding awesome. Keep up the great work. Thank you, David. I'm supposed to get an Apple Watch for Christmas. I personally like my watch because I can use it to screen notifications if I don't want to take out my phone to like look at something if somebody's texting me. Now I always know what time it is, which is great. Again, another reason to not take out my phone all the time. And I like that it tracks my fitness. It's funny because when I was in high school, I had a Spanish teacher who like, she literally once yelled at me to get a watch because I never knew what time it was because I couldn't see the clock on the wall in the classroom. And this was back in 2010, 2009, 2010-ish, whenever, when Braille and large print watches, in my opinion, as a 17-year-old high schooler, were not fashionable. So now we have this, an accessible watch that you can make be fashionable. And I don't know. I think it's really neat. Okay. All right. So this Molly Burke thing. I've heard good things about the AirPods, but I'm just willing to spend that much money on headphones. Not willing to. Yeah, I'm not willing to spend that much money either, especially because I have earbuds that work. Like these that I'm wearing currently, they're called like Klim Tech or something. I don't know. I got them on Amazon, but they're just like in-ear earbuds. They're black and they have a mic on them. The mic is not good quality, which is obviously why I'm using like my legitimate mic that I have plugged into my computer via USB. These are just like earbuds that to do like FaceTime calls with, basically. Let's see. I have an iPhone 7, but the upgrade will be worth it. I honestly think that anything. Okay, so I think so. My parents have older phones. My mother upgraded from a 5S to a 7 Plus last year, and my father, or the year before, I can't remember. And my father upgraded from a 5S to the 8 last year. It was either at the end of last year or the beginning of this year. It was like before the pandemic like really caused everything to shut down here, and they really like their phones because like they don't. I mean, my mother uses Facebook and my dad uses Facebook too and whatever, but like they don't use like a whole bunch of apps. So it works well for them. But I like my 11. I love it. I love the wide angle camera. I love that it's faster. I like the bigger screen. The whole no home button and the Face ID thing took me a while to get used to. I use the Samson Q2U. It is a dynamic mic, and it is on Amazon. It was previously sold out, but that is because it is now being sold by a different seller than the one that I bought it from. And the pack that I got, which is the same pack that's still being sold on Amazon, comes with the mic, the little windscreen cover thingy that goes over the mic, a stand, and the USB cable, and I think also an XLR cable. I can't remember if mine actually had an XLR cable in the box, but it is USB and XLR compatible, and I think I paid like $60 for it, or $70. It was under $100, and I think that it's really well worth it. My sister has an 8. It works fine. Yeah, I know the 8's fine, and I feel like personally, if you have a 7 or below, then maybe you're worth an upgrade. I honestly also, it's up to your personal preference, because like it's a phone. You have to think about what you're going to be using it for, and you know, if it's getting slower and it still works, then that's fine. But also, they stop supporting software updates after a while, which is a huge problem because it's a security risk. If you need a new iPad or MacBook, Apple's Education Store has a deal where you can get a new one discounted with free AirPods or AirPods Pro for $90. That's how I got my Pros. That's really cool. I forgot that they had an education discount. That's how my original MacBook Pro was, through their education discount when I was going in college. And now I have a newer MacBook Pro because that was in 2010. Yeah, I like this one. The little stand that it comes on, the mic, it's like a tripod stand kind of, and it just sits on my desk. I need to find a boom arm that fits it properly, because I tried a boom arm at one point, but it didn't fit. Because like I've searched high and low on Google and Amazon, and I haven't really come across anything that fits this specific mic, which is stupid, because like you'd think it would. Because you would think that it would be universal and that boom arms would be universal and whatever. But then the ones that I did see on Amazon and on Google and whatever had reviews like, it was not good quality. It would topple over from the weight of the mic and whatever. So I have to figure that out, because while I like it being on my desk, I also want the ability to move it around a little bit more freely, because I also have a crappy setup right now, because like, again, we're in the process of moving, so I have to reconfigure my whole life and everything. And I'm going to get rid of this desk anyway once I move and get a better one, like an L-shaped one, because this is ridiculous. Shay and Dan, oh my God, you're both here. How was your stream? You played Jackbox, right? Was it fun? I was going to come, but I had to run out and do like a stupid errand. And then by the time I got back, it was 3, which is why I had to push this back to 3:30. I'm surprised you guys are still here. I thought your stream usually ends at 4. I'll help you after the stream. With what? The boom arm? Because the one that you got sounded good on car, but like, yours came with your microphone. I need one that fits this, because I friggin' hate this setup that I have. I played Crazy Party. Is that Jackbox or no? I'm not hip on games. Okay, so this Molly Burke thing. She spoke at the NFB convention, the virtual convention, and nobody knew what... My watch is yelling at me to stand. We're not doing that right now. Nobody knew where the speech was because NFB didn't really advertise it, at least from my knowledge. For full disclosure, I don't follow the NFB on Twitter. I don't know what the hell happens like with them. I only know anecdotally from people that I know who are members and attend convention. But anyway, Molly Burke spoke at convention, which is great. I'm glad that she was able to do that. I have the video up in another tab at the timestamp. The speech is like 10 minutes long. It's not even really a speech. It's more of like a back and forth panel. Where can we watch her speech? It is on YouTube. It is the Friday session for the NFB 2020 virtual convention. It is at like the 8-hour and 10-minute mark. It's literally the last part of the video. And it's like a back and forth sort of Q&A with her and an NFB member. I don't know if that woman who was asking her the questions is like a chair or a president of something, but she seemed really nice. I have a boom arm for stage stands like it, but I don't know if it will fit. Yeah, I'm just going to keep doing more research on my mic. I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to find something. So I have the video up in another tab. Do you guys want to watch this? Because like I watched it earlier and I legitimately took notes like on Word. I'm watching you, but I got homework to do. I'm doing both. Focus on your homework. What the hell? So I watched it and I took notes because I knew that I was going to forget like what my thoughts were in the moment. And honestly, it wasn't a bad presentation. And it was shorter than like literally any one of Molly's videos have been recently. But somebody said this on Twitter and I really do agree with them that she sounded a lot more put together in this discussion than she did in some of her videos. If you've seen some of her content recently, it's debatable as to... I'm just going to come out and say it, and this is going to sound really mean. Sometimes she sounds dumb, like a dumb blonde. And I feel really bad saying that because like I don't hate this woman, and she's not naturally blonde, but her hair is currently dyed blonde. What didn't fit? The mic clip where the mic sits, or was it the actual mic clip? It was where the mic sits, like in the thing. Because I think it came with like a shock mount. It was a whole stupid setup. I didn't know what I was doing. I need to do better research and get something that actually works. But I just remembered that it would go in a certain amount and then like not fit. Like it just wouldn't fit on the boom arm because I think that you needed the shock mount to connect to the boom arm. Okay, so my boyfriend is saying he wants to see the Molly Burke interview thing from NFB. So that's what we're going to do here. And Tony, if you're in chat, I see that you're backstage and you want to be added as a guest. Can you like respond in chat with like a yes or a no if you're still interested in that? Because I see you're still here, but there's nothing on your camera's not looking at anything. It's just black. So if you would like to be included, please let me know. And let's see here. I'm going to share screen. Chrome tab. Share audio. Okay. We have this up here, the NFB presentation. I watched this earlier, and so typically when I watch a Molly Burke thing, I watch it in an incognito tab, like with me not signed into YouTube because it's incognito, because I don't want to see that content coming up in my recommended thing. So this now means that my YouTube recommended algorithm is going to be a little bit ridiculous. Can I join you? Are you using Streamyard? Yes, I am using Streamyard. Yes, Onkar, you can join me. I'll send you the link. Hold on. Do you, hold on. I'm going to text you. And respond to that because I can send it to you either way. Yeah, I'm using StreamYard. I did the premium, or not the premium, the basic, the middle payment thing because it got rid of the stupid logo and you get to record instead of like just going live all the time, I believe, which is how I tested things earlier. I recorded me doing a test and then was able to download it, which was really neat. I'm curious to know what the hate against this girl is. So glad you're talking about it. You know, I don't hate her because I think that hate is a strong word. I just dislike her because, well, I don't even dislike her. I just think that she can sometimes be a nuisance. I dislike that she is spreading misinformation on occasion. And I dislike that she doesn't reach out to other blind creators to collaborate or to, like, you know, get involved with them or shout them out, which is something that she alludes to in her thing. And I dislike that a lot of sighted people come across her content and think that she is the end-all be-all for blind people because she is the only one that they come across and she came first and she has the biggest following, which sounds like me being bitter, but I'm not. I just wish that, again, she doesn't, you know, link to other blind content creators. And if she did, I feel like that maybe there would be a little bit more... like there will be less animosity towards her from the community because, like, I've literally, this hasn't happened to me, but I have literally known blind people to have a sighted person talk to them and be like, oh, Molly Burke does this, you should do this too. Or, oh, do you know who Molly is? Like, maybe she can help you do something. Or like, oh, Molly, everything is about Molly. StreamYard is it's a web-based streaming platform. So think of OBS, which is a streaming software. It's kind of like that, but it's very minimal resource because it runs in Chrome, and you're able to do a lot with it. Like, you can add overlays and you can do screen share like I did earlier and blah, blah, blah. Onkar, respond to my text, please. She misrepresents the blind community. Yes, I completely agree with you. And yes, I'm calling you out live on stream because you're not responding to my text, and I need to just figure out how I'm going to send you this link. So, was it extra promotion? Are people not putting in the work she did to get her channel out there? I just realized I'm still sharing my screen. Okay, we're back to me. I still have my screen being shared, but like now the view is back to me. So the issue is that she just sometimes goes ahead and says stuff and doesn't fact check. Like, if you watched a recent video, or I've seen controversies about a recent video of hers that was 5 facts about blindness, she stated a lot of facts, which she did not cite sources for. And some of the things that I Googled came up contradictory to what she had said, and I couldn't find like legitimate information for it. So, like, there's that aspect. And also, let's see, from the very little I've seen, I'd probably bump heads with her. Yeah, I agree, Shay. I would too. Because I don't agree with a lot of the things that she says or does. And I don't hate her. I just think that she's a little ridiculous. And I think that she needs to be brought back to reality, because the reality that she lives, living in a luxury LA apartment and having this big, giant online platform and following and doing all these sponsored videos and having a large voice and being out there, she could do a lot more good with it, in my opinion, than she currently is. And that is not the life of the average blind person. I do not know a single person who could afford a luxury apartment in LA, as well as a car, to avoid Uber denials from her having a guide dog, but that is neither here nor there. I do know a lot of successful blind people who, you know, do own their own homes and are able to hire a driver, but like I don't know. I think it's very easy to say someone misrepresents when the community is so small. Yeah, and also, like I said, she's not representing the accurate community, or the whole community accurately. She is not. She's misrepresenting us. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care how you spin it. There's just a slight issue there. So 1 second, I have to send a message to a person about a thing. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. It's grossly hot here today, and I hate it. Yes, Tony, I got your text. I see you're here waiting for me to add you to the stream. I will do that in a moment. I am very sorry for the inconvenience. I love that YouTube like emails me when I'm live. It's like, do you think I don't know that I'm already live streaming? All right, Tony, I'm gonna add you to this stream. Okay, Tony, hello. You should be here. It says that you're added. But you have like no audio coming from you, and there's no video. And it says that you're here. So I don't know what's going on. Please check your settings. It's hot here too, and yeah, it is. It's really muggy here as well. It's gross. Like, it's really gross. I can't believe how humid it is, actually. Like, I thought that, because it was cooler a couple of days ago, but I don't know what the hell's going on here. Why it's been so muggy, because like we had a heat wave for a couple of weeks, or what I thought was a heat wave for a couple of weeks. Stupidness, and now it's muggy. And Tony, please check your settings on Streamyard because you are added. I just know what it's like to be hated on for being successful in my field. Yeah, I'm not hating on her for being successful. I'm just hating on her for the misrepresentation that she is like taking part in, I guess, because like I don't know. We're gonna get to this whole speech because she does address a few of these things in her discussion. Okay, Tony is no longer with us. It's just me. Hello. She does address a few of those things in her discussion, like back when she was first starting out and the opportunities that she was able to have. But I'm very happy that she is as successful as she is in her stream. And thank you, Shay, for posting about my stream on Discord. I just got the notification. I'm very happy for her being so successful because, like, that's great. Like, I want people, like, I want disabled people to be successful. But I just think that some of the things that she, like, her video titles, for example, are very clickbaity, which is like whatever, neither here nor there. But she doesn't. She's definitely not representing the whole blind experience. And she did say in the thing that she is not all blind people, but at the same time, it's like, yes, that might be true. However, you are what a majority of sighted people see as a blind person. Because, okay, that's why you left, Tony. Because, like, they don't know to look up anybody else because you, like, Molly doesn't acknowledge other blind creators, which, like, is, you know, a problem that a lot of people have with her. And if any of you are interested in a legitimate entire panel discussion on this, check out Blind Press's channel at some point in the future. Don't ask me when, because I don't know. Because myself and a few others, who some of them are in this chat, actually did a panel discussion with Blind Press about Molly, and it was very civilized. There was no like bashing or hatred or anything. It was just like a discussion about the issues that we have with her and her representation of the community. And I think that's coming out in parts on her YouTube channel. It depends on when they can finish getting it edited, because it's like a 2-hour stream. She needs to do less clickbait and instead show how she's helping the blind community. Yeah, I agree. I'll find out when you play it. I can't wait to hear your notes. Yeah, so I'm gonna start playing this because, no offense to the people like who said they wanted to join, but y'all are taking your sweet time. So let's start. All right.
Conversation with a blind YouTuber who is advancing.
You should be able to hear this because I shared the audio.
I am not going to introduce her, but I am going to introduce the person that's going to lead this conversation. I first heard our presenter this evening at a kind of a federation gathering. It was our hosting of the 2016.
Hold on, I have to pause this for a second because I have a person joining this stream. Onkar, say something. You're here. Dude.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
The video is playing, so I was texting you.
Okay, everybody say hello to my boyfriend.
Sorry, hold on. There we go.
I'm gonna make it go back to full screen share so you are not looking at us in the corner because that's distracting. And we're gonna unpause this video.
I can see the video on my end.
The World Blind Union, and I have watched Molly Burke's work develop over the last 4 years or so. And when I thought about inviting her to talk about how to engage and build a social media presence that presents images of blindness and the messaging that's consistent with the philosophy of the National Federation of the Blind, I thought it would be better to have one of our members engage with her. And so I've invited this evening Mary Fernandez. As you know, Mary is a member who has been helping to shape our messaging in many ways, including working with our young professionals. She has led
this is long. I don't want to skip through it, but we'll get there.
In building youth engagement efforts for the World Blind Union through the North American Caribbean region. She's been appointed to do that and has been leading those conversations. You know her from the many things that she has done in this organization, and you heard in the presidential report, she recently graduated from Duke with her MBA, and she is going to be now a consultant with Cisco. I told her she'll never forget my birthday because that's her start date at Cisco. So congratulations, Mary. And I'm looking forward to this conversation that you're going to facilitate. So here is Mary Fernandez.
Okay, the music was unnecessary.
Okay, I think we should pause that or skip that because it's going to copyright.
Yeah, let me pause it and skip it. Forward 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
Thank you so much,
All right, here we go.
Erica Bono, for that kind introduction. Also for the amazing intro song, What's Wrong with Being a Little Confident, indeed. I am delighted today to be speaking with someone that I'm sure most of you have heard of. Molly Burke was born with a rare degenerative eye disease. And at the age of 4, she was diagnosed, and she lost most of her vision by the time that she was a teenager. And Molly has been using YouTube to share her story and share a positive attitude and vision of blindness. So it's my pleasure and delight to be with Molly today. And before we get started, I'd love to provide full access. And I know that Molly is into fashion. I'm into fashion. So very quickly, I'm wearing a silvery shirt. I have short curly hair, caramel skin color, and bright lips, and a smoky eye going on, and long earrings. So good evening,
Mary,
Molly.
wait a minute. What about your shoes? What about
well, you can't see them. But I'm wearing these gorgeous Michael Kors gold, really high heels.
I don't know if I believe that, but I don't know this woman.
So, Molly, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Oh, thank you. You are rocking a way better outfit than I am right now, Mary. I feel like I'm being put to shame. Rock your Friday night look. I love it.
What are you wearing?
I'm literally wearing a hoodie and sweatpants because I'm living my best quarantine look. You know, I'm going for the quarantine vibe.
All right, I want to pause this for a hot second. This is going to sound very nitpicky of me, and I talked about this a little bit earlier on Twitter because this is like a valid thing to talk about. But if you are presenting something, even if you are doing it virtually, and keep in mind that both of these women are on camera, wouldn't you put yourself together a bit, like make it look like you were dressing like you were presenting for something instead of dressing like you were gonna lounge around the house all day? That's just me. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm giving Molly too much hate and criticism right now, but damn.
No, we talked about this earlier though, Dianna, like earlier in the morning before the stream. And you're right. She should be, if she's going to be going up a national audience and speaking in front of a bunch of people, regardless if they're blind or visually impaired, it doesn't matter. But she needs to show her best self as who she is and represent the blind community. Like you said, like you said, some blind people don't care about how they look in public or how they present themselves.
Yeah, and in my opinion, she's perpetuating the stereotype that she doesn't want to be perpetuating.
Exactly. Like for me personally, like when I go out anywhere, like I'm wearing a polo shirt right now, as you can tell, with like red stripes and whatever. I mean, hold on, I'm gonna switch to like the us view. Okay, now you guys can see both of us. Hi. So like, I think I'm out of frame. You're like in frame. If you could just like there you go. Center kind of bit more. Yeah, you're good. We're good. We're both low vision. No, I was like looking at my other computer, and so I didn't realize like you at least have better lighting than I do currently. I look like I'm really washed out by the light. I think I'm oversaturated a little bit. I need to turn the light down just a tad because like. Anyway, so the point is that like if you're presenting something. Right. You dress like you're presenting something. You don't dress like it's like pajama time. Of course not. I'm just adjusting the light here. That's fine. Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's like I'm talking to you guys folks right now, but I'm wearing a polo shirt. But I don't have to wear this. I could have worn a t-shirt and call it a day because I'm sitting at home. Remember wrong? Right. But we're all at home. because I'm on screen here, I decided like. Why not just wear a shirt that looks more presentable? Right. And like, I mean, we've both gone to our fair share of national and state conventions. And in the presentations that I have seen from all of those events, the people who are the ones presenting are very well put together. Like they're presenting like they're going to be in front of a bunch of people. And also usually that stuff is recorded anyway, like like a video recording or whatever. But even if it wasn't, you would think that they would just put some effort into to make themselves look presentable and be like, okay, I'm a blind person. That's true. But I also take pride in what I look like, not because like I care about what other people think of me, but I care about what I think of me. But it's so, because when you go to these conferences, virtual or non-virtual. Hold on, Tony's trying to be added to this 1 second. Okay. Being okay. All right. Hi, Tony. I'm gonna continue talking here. Can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you, Tony. Oh, we can't see you though. Your camera is not looking at you. Yeah. Anyway, what's
my camera looking at?
Yeah, Tony,
The camera is looking at a bed, but we're gonna let Onkar continue for a second.
I'm gonna finish it, Tony. Oh, sorry.
And then we will help you. Sorry.
But basically, what I'm trying to say here is,
I'll be right back.
You know, dressing up for a convention in person or not, you know, a virtual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are representing yourself.
Yep.
As a person, like you said, and you know. I'm just gonna speak from my personal experience. Like and you know this, Dianna. You know, when I go to convention, I wear a dress shirt and a tie. You know, at least. You know,
you
maybe
don't usually wear a tie though, but like at the very least, you wear a dress shirt and slacks.
A dress shirt. I wear a tie like when I go to like sometimes when I go to the events like the dinners or like you know like the banquets and whatnot.
Yeah.
I wore a tie for that.
Yeah, hell, I know someone who wore a full-on suit once to the scholarship reception.
Oh,
and he wasn't a scholarship winner.
I know people from my state affiliate who wear suits and ties to a lot of the events too, because that's the opportunity we get to dress up,
right?
You know,
right?
But for me, I'm just weird, and I like to wear polo shirts and shirts all the time with jeans.
That's like your style of clothing, though.
Yeah. So again, I can't always speak for myself because it's kind of my style, regardless.
Right. But we should unpause this video because we're going a little bit off track here.
Yeah. I think Tony is getting himself situated, so I think he wants.
Yeah.
Let's continue the video. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I got into it. So Molly, when we touched base earlier this week, I know that we spoke about how you got started in public speaking, and it happened when you were 5, and somebody gave you a mic, and you never stopped. So tell us a little bit about that. Kind of what motivated you to get into YouTube, and what keeps you going now?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was 4 years old, and my family was put in touch at that time with the Foundation Fighting Blindness, and they asked if I would speak at an event, and I was just this little 5-year-old, and you know, no idea what I was doing. It was just like I was told to say this line, and I got up there. But the moment that mic hit my hand, I was like, "This is my place in life. This is what I meant to do." And I begged my parents to put me into acting classes. I told them I was going to be an actress, and you know, that became my dream growing up. I just loved performing. But when I lost the majority of my vision at 14. You know, I looked at the entertainment industry and I didn't see myself. And so I really believed that I had to give up on that dream.
All right, I'm going to pause for a second because I think I had a note about this in my handy dandy Word document that I have here.
That kind of reminds me of, like, I wanted to do acting when I was younger. And my family was not supportive.
But was that because of your vision, or was that because of like it possibly being you know, an unreliable source of income or something like that? Because of your vision?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people have perspective on that. Like, even for me, like I think in my family, I feel that my grandparents will support me regardless of what I would do.
Yeah,
you know,
same here.
So it doesn't matter what profession I pick, as long as I'm happy and it does provide a source of income for myself. They'll be supportive in that, because at the end of the day, your parents want to make sure that their kids have a source of income when they're no longer.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
to support you.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like another thing I know, like I was talking to a friend of mine about this. Di, you know how my vision is. Like, you know, mine is stable-ish, like relatively.
Yeah, all 3 of us here have stable vision.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's not feasible that I could get my vision back, but it seems like my family is, or at least my mother, is very banking on the "you're gonna get your vision back" thing. So I don't think she's accepted that there's a possibility I might not.
You know, that's a whole other topic for another day, to be honest, because we can go very deep into that topic. Because I know for me personally, my vision is what it is, and it's not gonna change. It's not gonna deteriorate. It's not gonna
like for me, I mean for me, because I go to a retina specialist because my vision is due to a detached retina. They said that there is a chance with this because I have retinopathy of prematurity, so they said that there is a chance with that I could possibly develop glaucoma when I get older, and that my vision could be blurrier, or I could lose it. But I mean, it's not a high chance. It's just like they need to tell me that. So
but going back to what she just said earlier, Diana, what is in your notes? Can you go read notes really quickly? And then we can go off your notes.
So at the time, she said that she didn't see herself in the entertainment industry, and like I had written like that. Yeah, she's right, because and I think they talk about this a little bit in more. There really is nobody that is portrayed accurately within the entertainment industry in terms of like disability. Like, okay, you do have characters on shows and things that do have accurate portrayals of people with disabilities, but a lot of the time,
it's not. And I'm sure that has become I think more recently.
Yes,
I think
definitely, because this was like when she was 14.
Yeah.
This
more
was,
back in the day, it was more of the sighted person's perspective of, how does a blind person
and
act
back then, like, people weren't really
disability was still in its age of not full acceptance,
and even so, like, if there's a show or something with a blind or disabled character in it, now the showrunners usually will hire consultants like to talk like and accurately like walk the writers and everybody through like how to portray this disability on screen. But also the issue is that there are not a lot of disabled actors.
No, you don't. And if there are, they're not in like the mainstream big shows, or like for example, I haven't really seen a mainstream actor who's disabled or any sort of disability in like CSI or NCIS. Like, I'm sure that they may be secondary actors.
Yes, there was a secondary. Yeah,
but not the main character.
Hell, look at In the Dark. They didn't hire a blind actress for the main role of a blind woman, but allegedly they did audition a lot of blind and visually impaired actresses. It's just the person they ultimately chose was fully sighted.
Yeah, and actually, you have seen, and maybe I've seen, advertisements for, we are looking for a person with X disability, who to interview for this role in a TV show or a movie. And they want at this age, at that age, and then at the end, but how many blind people know about that role, or would be qualified for that role?
That's the thing, is that it definitely comes down to qualifications. Because Blind Press had said this in a stream a while ago, and I agree with her, and other people have said this too. If it's a choice between a disabled person who is not good at acting versus an able-bodied person who is able to portray the role that they're looking for properly, I would much rather go with the able-bodied person who's a good actor. And that sounds ridiculous coming from a person who's disabled, but if like you hire somebody who has no experience with acting just because they have the disability that you're looking to portray, that doesn't make the people running things look good, and it doesn't make the actor look good.
And more than that, I do think that there needs to be more education, to teach blind people on how to act,
and actually we're gonna Ankar, real quick,
that's a whole different topic another time.
I was just gonna say, Christina made a comment. She's like, now we all are drifting into my topic, because Christina is a visually impaired woman and she's an actress. And at some point,
we'll talk about that later.
I don't know when. Sorry. Yeah, we're going to be doing a separate stream about representation of disability in the media. But so let's get back to
going back to Molly's thing. and her being her parents supporting her as a young speaker or wanting to become an actress of any kind, it's very bold, a bold move of her parents, and I think it's good of her parents that her parents allowed her to explore those avenues.
Right, I agree.
Freely.
Like otherwise, she wouldn't be where she is today.
Yeah, exactly. Now, her, regardless of her content or not, I hope if we agree on everything or not, that's besides the point. But right. I do feel that she is a public figure in the blind community.
Yes.
And she has been given that gift to do that for us, and it's a good thing, and I applaud her parents for allowing her to pursue that.
Yeah. So let's get back to this video because we're only a couple minutes into this Q&A.
Yeah.
And luckily on my journey to recovery, I was able to kind of rebuild that dream and realize that I could still achieve the dream of working in the entertainment industry. I maybe just had to do it in a different way. And ultimately, the way I do it now is something that adds way more value and I believe has way more meaning than I would have had if I was just a sighted person trying to enter the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that because what we love about having you be part of the community is that authentic representation of blindness. And what's so appealing is that you're just living your life. And that's the thing that we really believe in the NFB is that we live the life that we want. And you're basically documenting that. So I wanted to ask you a bit about how you maintain that authentic Molly Burke, the person, and the Molly Burke, the brand, because you're a big deal and everyone knows you on YouTube. So how do you maintain those?
Oh, thank you so much. First off, I think I made it easy on myself because my goal was always just to be myself, to be authentic, to share my real story, my real journey with people. So it takes away a lot of the pressure because I never really have to figure out who I'm supposed to be because I'm just being myself always. And, sometimes the things that I think and the way that I feel doesn't make everybody happy, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to share my authentic self and hopefully make a positive impact through doing that.
Can you comment on that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So she's saying that she wants to show her authentic self, on YouTube and to the rest of the world. I believe in the beginning of her journey on YouTube, I think she was doing that.
Yes.
But ever since she has moved to LA and come to the US, I feel like that part of her goal has kind of just drifted away over time.
Yeah.
And now she's just doing it for the views and for the money.
Yeah, basically. Like if you look at her boyfriend reveal video, Meet My Blind Boyfriend, it's like, okay, he's visually impaired.
Right. Which is fine.
He is not completely blind, which is fine. But he also did not look like he was comfortable being on camera, which is a different topic. But I completely agree because I used to, I've said this before, I used to really like her content. I used to be subscribed to her back when she lived in Canada and she was doing a lot of fun and informative videos. And I feel like she did a much better job than showing her followers and her viewers what the blind experience was than she may be now. And Tony, I'm sorry, if you're trying to talk to us, I cannot hear what you're saying.
I don't think he's even there. Tony, are you even there?
I do not know.
Anyway, all I see is the black and his window light.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I think he said he would be back, but I don't know if he can.
2903043.
Dianna,
I muted him temporarily.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't know what is happening, and it sounded like he was giving somebody information. So back to what I was saying. She did a much better job, in my opinion, back then representing the authentic blind experience versus now.
Right.
And it's funny because she does talk about her like when she was starting out and what she was doing in her videos and how it's very interesting. I really want to get back to this video because I have more to comment on, if that's okay with you.
Go ahead. That's all I would say. Continue.
Thank you so much for that, because I think that sometimes we feel that we have to put on this perfect life, this perfect thing that has to echo what everybody else thinks on social media, and the fact that you are maintaining who you really are is really important. I want to go back to something you said at the beginning around representation and how in pop culture and media you weren't seeing anyone like you. Why was it important for you to openly and clearly own your blindness on YouTube when you launched? And what message do you think that has given the world, and how does it continue to evolve?
On my journey to recovery from depression, I was suicidal, I was really badly bullied, and along that journey of recovery, I learned to stop viewing my blindness as a negative and to really view it as an asset, and to realize that I could take this thing that society views as being negative about me and I can turn it into something positive. And so for me, when I started my channel, the goal was really to break down these negative thoughts that society has about disability, because I was really born and raised in the medical model of disability, and thankfully had an incredible disability mentor who shifted my belief system to the social model of disability, which was the most empowering thing I could have found in that journey. And I really wanted to bring that perspective to society, because I feel like so much of able-bodied society only ever hears about the medical model of disability, that it's something we should fix, we should treat, we should cure, we should heal, we should change about people, instead of realizing it's something as a society we can embrace, we can see beauty in, we can see positives about, and we just need to simply make our environment more accommodating to all abilities.
I want to pause this for a hot second.
I disagree on that, but continue.
Not only that, but remember in some video that she did recently where she said that she thinks that we should, I think it was the Facts About Blindness video, where she said that she wants them to stop funding cures for incurable diseases, like funding research to find cures for incurable diseases, and instead focus on putting that funding towards education, which I don't disagree with. I agree that more funding should be put towards education and towards bettering the lives of people with disabilities. However, that doesn't mean that we should completely stop funding medical research, because it's only incurable until you find a cure. That's the whole point of research.
Correct.
Which you and I have talked about at length, and I believe I've talked to other people about that as well. And I find that, and I just thought of that now. I didn't have that thought when I watched this the first time, that she says that, and she's talking about how, the able-bodied population sees disability as something that we need to cure and fix. And then we have her saying that
she's not wrong in that.
She is not wrong. You're right.
To play the devil's advocate, she is not wrong in that statement.
Yeah.
Because people who are sighted, society community still feel like, I gotta help this person.
Right.
Can't get, he or she can't find her way.
Right.
So let me go grab his hand, their hand, and basically throw them, take them across the street.
Yeah, you said that happened to you.
Happened to you once. But
it's happened to me. It happened to me twice in one day once.
Yeah, that's not a cure for blindness, but
no,
it's just one.
That's just people seeing us out in public and thinking that we're lost because we might be standing there, or trying to pull us in the opposite direction of where they think that, trying to pull us where they think we should be going. Basically.
Exactly, but I do believe research. As a person who is in the STEM field, I do believe research of all kinds, from scientific research to technology research, needs to be
conducted
in order to find alternative ways to
I completely agree.
To be productive in our lives, and finding technologies to better improve the lives of the blind and visually impaired community, rather it be putting some sort of implant into you to help you see better
right.
in the future, or maybe finding some kind of permanent cure that doing some kind of surgery to implement, or as simple as maybe taking some medication, like you would take a pill every day.
Right.
You know, I know. I'm not saying. And
the thing is that even
hold on. I'm not finished. Yeah. I want to stress here that what I'm saying here, none of this I have confirmed and know about is actually available at the moment.
Right.
So I do want to stress that what I'm saying here is just things.
You're just talking about hypothetical
things. You know, like I said, there are technologies out there, you know, that do help the blind. You know, like screen readers and magnifiers, stuff like that. There is technology.
We have the e-sight goggles too that basically use
e-sight,
like a camera, things like that. But the thing is that even if we have researchers who are looking for a cure and they find a cure, you don't have to take that cure.
Right. It's optional.
It's not going to be like, oh, we found a cure. That's it. Here you go. Like, it's completely optional.
Right.
And I feel like some people might not understand that. Some people might not understand that it is completely 100% optional. You can be mad about it, but you don't have to take it.
Right.
And don't be mad at other people if they decide to take it because it's their own life.
Because I'll be honest, there are some people out there that may feel like, there's a cure out there, but then they get offended because the blind person doesn't want to take it.
Right. I personally would not. I mean, I don't think that my vision needs to be cured. Like, me personally.
Me neither.
And we have a person in the chat who thinks the same thing. Tiffany, she just said, I'm personally not interested in being cured of my blindness, but I don't see why we can't have education for the public and ongoing research. Exactly.
Because
you can do both.
Yeah, because if I was to be cured, my life would be turned upside down.
Yeah. You'd have to relearn how to do things. Everything. And that's what people don't understand too, is that if you're given a cure for something, especially like blindness, if somebody is granted the ability to see, they have to relearn how to do literally everything, because like they're going to be thrust into like a new world. Their body and their balance is going to be different. The way their brain processes things, it's going to process things differently. You and I were both low vision. If we had full sight, our brains would process that differently. If somebody who was blind since birth or
learn how to drive a car.
Yeah, exactly. We could drive, but at the same time, it's like,
do I want to? I mean, I would love to now. I would love to
like learn how to. For me, I think that the most jarring thing would be like just like walking somewhere.
Yeah, like and like seeing things from a distance. I mean, I think
that'd be interesting,
and
but like not using my cane and like to have that realize, oh, there's a curb here, or like, you know, if I don't have my cane because I went out earlier and forgot my cane. I think those are great things. So at the same time, it's just going to be a really eye opener, and it's going to take. It takes someone coming out of surgery and going through the process of healing. Yeah. And it's going to be the same process for if you get your vision back. Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact thing. You would have to go through rehabilitation, just like people who lose their vision go through rehabilitation, or people who go through any sort of surgery have to go through some sort of therapy or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an option. But anyway, continue the video. We're getting off track.
Yeah. It's okay.
So I really wanted to show that. But at the same time, I was also really scared because I knew that the only representation we did have, I believed, was very inauthentic to the true blind experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Or at least certainly did not represent my experience. And a lot of the negative stereotypes and misconceptions I was facing in everyday life was due to the inaccuracy of how I believe our community was being portrayed, the rare times that we were actually being seen in media. And so I really wanted to combat all of that, but I was so scared. I was so scared to share anything that made me seem blind. You know, I would edit out any moment where I wasn't looking straight at the camera, if I was looking a little bit off, or I would edit out any moment when I held up a product but the label was backwards or upside down. because I was like, oh, I'm gonna look so stupid, and that's, society already thinks of us that way, like we're incapable and we're so unaware. And eventually I realized that it was unfair to myself and it was unfair to our community to only show like a very perfect perspective of what it's like to be blind. And it also makes those things into negatives by not sharing them, but by showing it and just laughing at it and embracing it as just like a piece of who I am and something silly that happens, it takes the negative out of it.
Can I?
Yeah, I paused. And also, quick aside, any sort of sound effect, like a notification, that is from this video. That is not from me.
It's either her phone or whatever's going on.
That is somebody's audio from the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do agree with her on that statement. Like, as a low vision person who can still see very well, I do make those mistakes where I maybe may hold something upside down or I may not see the layout properly, and I do get
that. We all do that.
And it's like I don't disagree with her because I don't want the sighted community to see me that I'm not incapable. Because honestly, I work hard not to look like I have a visual disability. Mm-hmm. I try the best. Not because I'm not ashamed of. Because I'm ashamed. It's just because
not. It's just that you want to portray the best version of yourself.
Right, and I will make mistakes, and I own up to those mistakes. I won't say, "Oh, I didn't make that mistake. I didn't do that." No, I said, "Yeah, okay, I made it." I own the mistake. But again, it's not a mistake to be ashamed of. It's just a mistake that happens due to, the condition you have, your visual condition, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. But at the same time, you would like, as a person with a disability, you should try to be the best version of yourself and work hard to know what is important and what the sighted community may see that is weird. And you can be weird. Weird is not a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But and people say conform to society, conform to what society norms are. Their critics are gonna say, oh, but who cares about society norms? You need to be your own independent, unique person. Mm-hmm. And I agree to that. But there is a certain standard to society norms that I do feel that anybody, disabled or not, needs to follow to be a good contributing person to society.
Yeah.
To be able to
agree.
And that has to just do with present, and I think it really only boils down to how do you present yourself in public to the visual person. Because
we live in a sighted world.
Well, exactly.
This is the world that we live in. Not everything is going to be accessible right out of the box. People don't know things until we tell them.
Right.
Because they're not educated.
Right.
And it's not their fault. They probably have just never seen a blind person.
Right. I know that, I'm going back to university now, for example. Right. I'm still going to grad school. But even though that there is a disability services office on campus there that was help me get my accommodations, it is my duty as the blind individual to go to that office and say, hey, this is my disability.
Yeah.
And then it is my duty again to say to my instructor, here is my letter of accommodation from the disabilities office. This is my disability. And I would like to speak with you one-on-one and make an appointment. And I would like to discuss my accommodations and how can we best work together to make this course accessible to me. And as the blind person, and that's just one example, but that example should be used across all platforms. It could rather be in the workplace, in the educational environment, or just going about your day in society and going to the grocery store and buying your daily groceries. Maybe now it's difficult to talk to somebody without, because of coronavirus, but besides the point is just talk to somebody and say, hey, to one of the clerks, they're like, I need help getting shopping X, Y, and Z. This is my items in need.
Could you point me to the correct aisle that I should
point me to the correct aisle, right? But speak up and be vocal about what you need in that time.
And I understand that not everybody embraces their disability, and it sounded like at the beginning of Molly starting her channel that she did not embrace her disability, and that's fine.
She was shy. She was shy. Her voice was soft.
Exactly. She was very shy. We've a lot of us here, us two especially, have seen her content from the beginning, and some people in chat have probably also seen her content from the beginning. But let's go back to this chat, because the Q&A, because we still have a little bit more to cover. I think it's almost over.
Yeah.
I think those instances are particularly important because, one, they just show that we are above all human, and all humans make mistakes, and we all do crazy things that look crazy all the time. But yet it's this ableist idea that, like, your story or who you are, one, represents all blind people, which it doesn't, but also B, that, like, if you make a mistake, it's attributed to your blindness, not to your humanity.
Exactly. And I completely agree with what you say. I cannot represent all blind people. I'm Molly and I'm blind, and I've grown up really immersed in this community, but I can never properly, accurately represent everybody, every voice, every lived experience of blindness. And I always try to make that really, really clear, because I know I do have a lot of able-bodied followers who are fully learning about blindness simply through my content. And I want to make sure they understand that, you know, I cannot be looked to as the story of blindness. And I really encourage every blind person who is also as passionate about representation, about breaking barriers and misconceptions, who's as passionate about education as I am, to use their voice. And social media truly is an amazing platform to do so.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into what I want to touch next, which is social media and leveraging it to elevate our voices.
So, I mean, I feel like even, I'm just going to collect my thoughts here. I want to speak clearly here. I feel like she's saying that she doesn't want to be the only voice to speak for our community, but at the same time, I feel that that's kind of what she is portraying herself as.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like I said earlier, she is what people come across on
YouTube,
like social media, YouTube especially, because she has such a large platform, and even though she doesn't want to, and she says that she is not the voice of the blind community, she is.
Yeah.
Because that's how it worked. Like that's how life happened. Molly is unintentionally the voice of this community.
Yeah.
And
that's okay. I'll be very frank. It's think about it as business and marketing. If you think about it in that sector, there is like, out of the 10 products that do the same exact thing, I was just reading this last night in my business class, my management class I'm taking for school, is that there are going to be 10 products out there, that do the same exact thing, but it's not about the product itself. It's about how it's marketed and how it's and how people portray the marketing process.
Exactly.
And that's what brings things up, because some products, they can be the shittiest products in the world, right? But they'll be the most loved and the most used product.
Because it's all down to marketing.
Exactly, and then there could be another product that is much more superior with much more feature sets and maybe even cheaper, but will not be adopted that easily just because the marketing strategy was much better on the inferior product.
Right. And the thing is that there's so much content out there now. A lot more people in the community, in the blind community, are breaking out onto YouTube and Instagram and doing content like that.
Right.
Some people in chat might not know, but like there was a panel that that I kind of helped coordinate, you helped coordinate, for an ACB affiliate for National Convention on starting a YouTube channel and an Instagram account, and talking to James Rath. He was one of the people who spoke at it, as well as two women who were on YouTube and Instagram, and they were all across the blindness spectrum, and they all gave their own advice and their own tips and tricks on how to start doing things, especially if you have no vision. And it was very helpful.
Yeah, like see, you're one content creator.
Right.
You have Blind Press, you have James Rath, and I bet there are a billion more blind and visually impaired content creators. Plus, on top of that, a lot of other content creators with varying disabilities on YouTube. And but to be very frank and honest, when I go to the homepage or search things really quickly on YouTube, their videos are very difficult to find. And it is because they have a small following, or they're still starting their channels, or they're still small, and which is okay because everyone starts small. But I do believe that of a society, I mean, personally, I feel like YouTube needs to have a section for people with videos like that, to bring disabilities to the front. The forefront of society. Inclusivity.
Disability is always left out of the diversity and inclusivity conversation.
I'm not saying to give us a separate, a separate little page on YouTube. But what I'm saying is to
maybe
help
like
push that content.
Highlight some different disabled content creators.
Right, because I know Google as a whole, the company Google as a whole, is very inclusive. They hire a lot of blind and visually impaired individuals in the company.
Apple does too, I think.
Apple does too. A lot of these big companies do. I'm just talking about Google because we're talking about YouTube because YouTube is owned by Google. So I'm just speaking to them in particular. But I do know all the other big companies do the same. But they do provide that service. So having the disabled community portrayed on YouTube, maybe of having a separate tab or
because like regardless, regardless of
or favor the algorithm to
because regardless of whether or not however many times Molly says it, she is the voice of the blind community. Like that's just how things worked out for her.
Right, and that's okay. But let's continue because that's I think we're done with that.
We're
and to change perspective. So what advice or thoughts would you have to share with our NFB members? Many of us are activists, we're all activists that are here, and we all have intersecting identities, and we're passionate about social justice and changing the world. So how do we best leverage social media and our stories to do that?
Yeah, so intersectionality is huge, right? We all identify as more than just being blind, but you might never meet another, blind, Black, gay man. But they also do exist, and the internet is a great place to build those communities because you're reaching so far and wide. So you can find any little niche community, any weird passion or interest or hobby you have, you can find that on the internet and build a community around it. And I certainly never expected my community to go as large as it has. It's been incredibly rewarding to see. But it really, truly, I believe, is the perfect space to do it. I started out purely traveling full-time as a motivational speaker, and I ultimately realized as much as I love performing on stages, as much as I enjoy going to events, I will never be able to reach as many people through that as need to hear my story, or as need to feel connected. And the internet is a space where 3 years later, you can still type that right combination of words and find a video that I made about a topic that you might be interested in or resonates with your journey. And that's what's been amazing, is seeing these people from all over the world reaching out saying, that they're from a really small rural town in Chile and they don't know anybody else who's blind, and they now feel less alone and more connected to a community, and seeing all of my fans who follow me because they feel connected to my journey, becoming friends and building their own communities with each other. So it really is a very special place, the online community.
And if someone is trying to break into it, like what advice would you give if someone is really trying to share their story?
You know, there's a lot of like practical advice that I can give. I don't know if that's helpful for people. The most practical advice I can give is that ultimately at the end of the day, you're feeding an algorithm. So if you're not going to be posting consistently, people aren't going to be fed your content through the algorithm. So just strategically, like posting consistently is very important. But I would say building community, building connections. When I started on YouTube 6 years ago, there was literally less than 5 disabled creators, not blind creators, disabled creators, period. There was no community, there was no space. And you were competing against all of these very well-established communities. But even though one of us was in England and one was in Canada and one was in the US and we were super spread out, we connected with each other and we supported each other and we gave each other shout outs and we made our inroads. We reached out to social media conferences and we're like, hey, you should really have people talking about accessibility at your conference on the internet. We just kind of band together and forged this path ahead. And it's incredible to see now how many people with all different types of disabilities are authentically sharing their journey and their story and their message and making a full-time living doing so. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
I just want to pause this for a quick second because in my notes, I have that, yes, okay, that's great that she, in the beginning was was connecting with these other disabled content creators and they were all supporting and uplifting one another. Mm-hmm. However, I do not follow her on Twitter. However, I do look at her content occasionally, like what she posts and her videos I do watch occasionally, even though I'm not subscribed to her. I have not seen her lifting up other blind or disabled content creators recently. I saw she had done a shout out once on Twitter. She shared some article or something that Lucy Edwards had written, and Lucy is basically the UK's version of Molly Burke in terms of like, not like, I don't know Lucy as a person, I don't know her personality, but they have the same interests in in fashion and makeup, and that is how somebody had described her to me, is being like Molly in that sense. But I mean, she hasn't, to my knowledge, been uplifting or supporting other blind or disabled content creators. And I wonder why, because if she did it in the beginning, which is what she says that happened, like just now, she said it in this thing, and she's not doing it now. And it's like, what is going on here?
I think a lot of it, I mean, I don't want to judge or make assumptions, but a lot of it is you say it, you do it a few times, people see it, and then you move on and your life just goes on.
Yeah.
It is very difficult, for people to stick to everything they want to, accomplish or what they want to pursue. And I'm not making an excuse for her, but that's just the reality of life. Because it happens to the best of us too, even the ones who have the greatest intentions. But I do believe, from seeing her content currently, and it's going back to what I said earlier, a lot of it has to do with, okay, what content is going to give me money? Who is going to give me the sponsorships? Where is my next paycheck coming from? That's her motivation right now. From what I see from her content.
And again, like everybody who's watching this is our own opinions. We don't know, obviously.
Personal opinions. But I don't know. Again, that's what I'm trying to say is that's what from when I watch her videos, that's kind of what I see, because you see on majority of her videos is always some sort of sponsorship.
Yeah. So someone actually in chat just said that Lucy, I'm quoting this verbatim, Lucy Edwards is better and listens to you.
Yeah.
In terms of
I think like I said before, I think if you go back in time and you go back to her content when she was back in Canada, she was a lot more receptive, and
I agree.
And
on social media too. And now it's like what brands do you want to see me do a review of?
Right.
Which is fine, but at the same time, it's like, what happened to
reply to the people who ask you questions at least.
Right, exactly. Reply to the
because
people
you have told me
questions.
Because you told me that you have seen that people respond to her stuff, but then she doesn't give any reply back.
Yeah, people ask
like
legitimate questions to her, and like she doesn't respond.
I haven't looked at the comments, but I'm just going off what you said.
It was only one. No, this is on Twitter. It was only like once or twice. It was 2 people who had criticized her about a recent video that she did. Both of them were blind. And she responded to them almost immediately because the attacks were about the video.
Right, and I think that's another point. It's been only when there's a fire lit under her ass, she'll respond right away. But otherwise, because like when she or if she doesn't believe in something, or she feels like something is being she's being misrepresented in some fashion online or in some fashion, she's gonna go ahead and counteract that.
Right.
That's that statement.
I told you about that other woman on Twitter, Christy Vyers. She did a video on Braille input on the iPhone and how to do it, and it blew up. It has almost like 10 million views on Twitter, and then she started a YouTube channel, and she's like gaining a lot of like traction, and people like now
love her,
see this other blind person, which is great. And then you see some people have commented, and they're like, "Oh, Molly Burke does this. Maybe she could help you," or tagging Molly and being like, "Oh, Molly, can you do a video on this?" And it's like, you people just watched this woman do this video, and you're asking another blind content creator to do the same thing. But also, where is Molly sharing that content and being like, "Hey, this is really neat. Look at this other blind person doing this really cool thing. You should go check out some of their content. They do some stuff different than I do as a blind person."
It's high fun.
Yeah, my dog wants to leave my room, so I'm gonna unpause this Q&A video and let the dog out.
I love that. Molly, I wanted to go a little bit more into your philosophy about blindness. It's pretty clear that you're just living your life, but I wanted to ask you about, has there been a time or an instance, a specific example where you've seen that your message, your story has very specifically created a change in perhaps a place or a time or a space where it wouldn't have happened otherwise?
I really for a long time felt like all I could talk about on social media, like my role on social media was to like be the blind advocate and only ever talk about my blindness. And I got to a point where I realized I'm sitting here trying to tell people how normal I am, but all I'm talking about is the thing that makes me different from society. And I gave myself permission to like make content about makeup because I love makeup, and about fashion because I love fashion, and about all of these things where I didn't even need to say once in that video that I'm blind. And by allowing people to watch a 20-minute video where they forgot that I am blind, I was actually able to make potentially an even bigger impact on the way they view blindness and disability as a whole. And the amount of people who have reached out saying, that they've either chosen to get into the field of working in disability, or who have created friendships with disabled people in their community because of seeing my videos and their mind being changed around what it really means to be disabled, has been incredible. Or people coming up to me saying like, I didn't realize that my school had no Braille signage until you said it, and I went to my principal and now we have Braille signage everywhere, and things like that, which is just like, there's small differences to these individual people's lives, but I know that collectively it will ultimately help create a larger change.
Great. And before we finish, I definitely want to touch on something that's very important, and that's all the negativity that we get online when we start sharing our stories, and the fact that like we're always going to make mistakes because we're documenting in a lot of ways our growth. Tell me, how have you found healthy ways of dealing with any negative feedback or criticism or trolling that has come your way? And what are some healthy methods or things that we can do in order to deal with those things?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. When you go online, ultimately the beauty of it is that anybody can access that information, but that also becomes the challenge is that anybody can access it. And, you know, the biggest thing that I faced when I started my channel was people believing that I was faking blind because I didn't fit this one stereotype that they had seen of blindness in Daredevil or in whatever kind of space that they had consumed content about blindness.
Okay, real quick. Daredevil is a superhero TV show where the protagonist is blind and a superhero. Not a vigilante like the Flash, but blind and super hearing and combat skills. I don't think that is the most accurate analogy to make, but I'm not gonna.
I would go and talk about the new Apple. I'll compare it to more of the new Apple show.
See?
What's it called? Yeah, See.
I haven't watched that yet. Have you?
No, me neither. But I've heard it, and it's actually pretty good.
They have cast.
I've seen the trailer.
And quite a few actors in it are blind and visually impaired.
They are.
Is in it. This other woman, Brie Clouser, is in it.
Yeah. But before going to there, I would like to go back and talk about her philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that part of it? Which is like about philosophy, and then you left at that point.
I heard it earlier.
You have notes. Oh, you could, yeah. So about her philosophy, I feel that maybe can you kind of go back 2 minutes on her?
Yeah, sure. I'll go back a little bit. 1 second.
So then you can go ahead and hear it. I think it's like a minute. There.
I think that this is still the thing that they were just talking about.
To these individual people's lives, but I know that collectively.
Yeah, this is just it. Let's go back a couple minutes here.
And long earrings. So good evening.
Oh no, I went back to the beginning.
That's okay. But
technical difficulties.
That's okay.
On social media, and the fact that you are maintaining who you really are is really important.
Is this it?
I want to go back to something you said at the beginning around representation and how in pop culture and media you weren't seeing anyone like you.
No, further?
Actually, that's right. Actually, that's
the back and forward keys are like 10 seconds.
Okay, whatever. Forget about it. It doesn't matter. We'll just talk about basically. Let's skip that. Then let's go to representation. I guess again, she was talking about how there was nobody like her, and
she didn't see herself in the media.
She didn't see herself, and then people see herself. People see her as the person again, like in the person in media to represent
a stereotype.
A stereotype.
Yeah, because she just said that people thought that she was faking being blind. Stereotype.
Right, because she wanted to do and then so that's why she started doing her fashion and makeup stuff, because that's what she enjoyed, and that's just passionate about. And
right.
So she wanted to start doing videos that showed her doing things that she loved and that she could do, without showing that she was blind, couldn't do things. Which I understand, which is good.
I do too.
Because you want. Because at the end of it, you want to do videos. You want to do videos that you're passionate about and that you love. You don't want to do just random videos. I mean, that's why we're doing videos like this. Because you and I are passionate about disability and how it affects our community, as well as how this society sees us. And so we want to share that kind of content and share our perspective
too.
And it's doing the podcast. But yeah, so she's doing that. But at the end of the day, she also needs to realize that her blindness, although people may say things to her, like, she needs to just not listen to all that, jargon.
Owe them an explanation.
She doesn't need to. Because she was saying people are saying, "Oh, you're not blind. You can see just fine."
Yeah,
and then she had to explain.
Looking at that thing, it's like, well,
right. But we're gonna say the same thing to me, like, "Oh, I'm not blind because I'm looking right at you," and I can see where I'm going, and I can see that there is, an escalator in front of me.
Right, but you and I also have low vision. She does not.
But
I think she is like.
But the stereotype is that when you say the word blind, that means you can't see anything.
Blind. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So somebody in chat had said the least Molly could do to support other blind content creators on YouTube is to put channels she supports in a sidebar. Like, hey, check these channels out, things like that. And like she's chilling her own stuff way too much. And I definitely agree with that. I do. Somebody else said that she has helped open doors for the community. I do agree with that.
I do. Yeah.
I do think she has had a positive impact on the community, but I think she has also had a negative impact on the community.
I think the positive impact on the community that she has brought the disability community to the forefront of the YouTube social media. I don't know. I can't speak for mainstream media because I know she's been in some advertisements and whatnot, but again, that there was some hiccups there. But let's talk about the YouTube media for now.
Yeah, and what she had said about conferences too, like advocating for accessibility, like closed captioning and descriptions and things like that.
But let's just focus on the online aspect of media, just YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think she has made a big impact there in making sure that the blind and visually impaired community is being represented.
Yes.
And she's done a very good job in that, and she's in the marketing aspect as well as the aspect of putting out content in the beginning. Now, like we said, now as time went on, the content became kind of fuzzy, and I feel even though that it's still being marketed as this is how blind people are, I think now people are just think that's just how it is. This is how a blind person is. So, like one of the viewers just said, if she put in the show notes that here are some other content creators who are low vision and blind that are doing great content, in my personal opinion.
Exactly.
Please go check. She doesn't have to say it verbally in the video, but
have to say no. She can even just put it in the description.
In the description, right?
Or on YouTube, on your own personal channel, you can add featured channels to your own sidebar, which is I think what they were referring to. So you can make up a sidebar of like, hey, these are people that I think that you should follow or check out.
Check out, yeah.
And it takes like 2 minutes. Like and there are a lot of us out there who create content who are blind and low vision.
Right. So and that will help the process of bringing the blind and disabled community to the forefront of the online media.
Right.
I'm not gonna say social media. I'm just gonna say the online media.
Right.
Because again, there's a whole different industry for TV and radio production, all that kind of media. So I'm saying online media. So yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that was pretty much that was the whole video.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know where the heck we are even. I just want to unpause because I think she had a little bit more to say, like before they.
Yeah.
Blind, black, gay man.
You're way back. You need to go up.
Makeup, because I love makeup.
Yeah,
and
there.
About fashion, because I love fashion.
There.
And about all of these things where I didn't even need to say once in that video that I'm blind.
Oh yeah, here we are.
And by allowing people to watch a 20-minute video where they forgot that I am blind, I was actually able to make potentially an even bigger impact on the way they view blindness and disability as a whole. And the amount of people who have reached out saying, that they've either chosen to get into the field of working in disability or who have created friendships with disabled people in their community because of seeing my videos and their mind being changed around what it really means to be disabled has been incredible. Or people coming up to me saying like, I didn't realize that my school had no Braille signage until you said it, and I went to my principal and now we have Braille signage everywhere and things like that, which is just like there's small differences to these individual people's lives, but I know that collectively it will ultimately help create a larger change.
Can you pause it for a second?
And before we finish,
yeah.
Her saying that's great, and I because I do experience that a lot too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it would be nice if she had some concrete evidence on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because again,
this is all only anecdotal.
Yeah, I mean, she's talking. I know that, and we all do that. We all do that, and that's fine. But I do believe that because she's talking to a national audience at a conference, that she should have had at least some concrete evidence to back up her statements. Just because she's talking to at a conference, because it's like giving a presentation, right?
Well, she is giving a presentation.
Yeah, no, she is, but like it's giving it to you because you're giving a presentation. You want to have some concrete facts,
right?
So that's that's my comment. But other than that, she's right. Other than that, but
I agree.
I just wish that she would. I just wish she had put some concrete facts or some comments that she had gotten from her videos. If she could share some comments from her past videos on what she just spoke about, that would have been good. Continue.
I want to touch on something that's very important, and that's all the negativity that we get online when we
this is where we had paused
sharing
earlier.
Our stories, and the fact that we're always going to make mistakes because we're documenting in a lot of ways our growth. Tell me, how have you found healthy ways of dealing with any negative feedback or criticism or trolling that has come your way, and what are some healthy methods or things that we can do in order to deal with those things?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. When you go online, ultimately, the beauty of it is that anybody can access that information, but that also becomes the challenge, is that anybody can access it. And, the biggest thing that I faced when I started my channel was people believing that I was faking blind because I didn't fit this one stereotype that they had seen of blindness in Daredevil or in whatever kind of space that they had consumed content about blindness. But for me, I've always kind of, I've looked at that as a challenge. I didn't let that tear me down and make me feel bad. I let it fuel my fire and push me forward and realize more ways in which my story is important and my voice does matter, and more ways in which I needed to make a difference further still. And I really feel like it's the same way. I was bullied from grade 1 to grade 12. I was bullied my whole way through school, but I let it tear me down a lot at first. But I eventually got to a place in my journey where instead of letting it tear me down, I let it push me to work more on myself, to learn to validate myself and not seek validation from others, to learn to love and be confident and happy within who I am, and not live to impress other people. And it's really how I've approached my content. Like I said, not everyone's going to be happy. Not every blind person feels that I represent them, which is totally fair. Some blind people look at my content and feel like it resonates with them and their journey, but not all blind people. And I've had blind people say, I feel like I don't like that you made this video because I don't feel like that's accurate. I'm like, you know what? It's totally fair that you feel that way. It's not accurate to your journey, but it is to mine. That was true for me. And that's why I made it. And so at the end of the day, I'm not even going to make everybody in this community happy, but I need to you need to make content that you believe is correct, you believe is right, you believe is important, and let any of the negativity simply fuel you forward, move you forward.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that believes that if you're not offending somebody somewhere, you're probably doing something wrong. So that's just my personal thought, but also this idea of just figure out what it is that you stand for, figure out what your truth is, because our individual truths resonate with somebody somewhere, and that's what ultimately we're trying to do when we share our stories. Molly, we have about 2 minutes left. Are there any final thoughts or things that you want to share with us?
As I said earlier, we need as many voices as we can, and so I really do encourage people, if they've ever been interested or curious, give it a shot. Post online, because it's an amazing community of people out there now. Like I said, it's grown so much further than what it was 6 years ago when I began.
She's right. It has grown.
And just be yourself. It's scary. It's hard sometimes, but it is so rewarding. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to the community around me, and the fact that I've been able to make a career out of this. I really believe that the fact that we can change people's perspectives, change people's lives, and build our own representation for ourselves, and not wait for somebody else in Hollywood to see us and believe in us, how much more empowering can it get?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the age that we live in. It's the curse and the beauty that we no longer have to wait for somebody else to tell our stories. We have so many tools and access to being able to spread it across the world on our own. So with that thought, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing to get to know you this last week as we've prepared, and I'll be tuning in. And just a really quick anecdote, I didn't know about Molly Burke until I started personal training, and my trainer, she's like obsessed with you.
All right, say hi.
I will. She was like, I need to show you this video. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I've heard of Molly Burke. So that's how I found out about you. So it's been really great to get to know you, the real.
Mary.
All right.
Job.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, we're done. That was fascinating.
Stop screen sharing.
Yeah. I'm doing that. Okay, we're good. So, I find it fascinating, and I like that she is acknowledging that the blind community does not necessarily agree with her content, because I think that is something that, like, I for one thought that she was overlooking at some point, because again, she doesn't, even if people are like leaving her comments or asking legitimate questions, she really doesn't respond to people. And I understand that it can be very hard to keep up with social media at the following that she has, because she has a very large platform and a very large following. However, I think that it would be good if she, did respond, not necessarily to the criticism, but to people being like, hey, like, I have a question about this thing, or like, maybe there's somebody finding her content who has a family member or somebody that they know who's losing their vision, and they wanted to ask Molly like a question or whatever, like how maybe they could best support this person in their life or whatever. I don't know, things like that. But again, like, I don't know her. I don't communicate with her. I just know her persona from what she puts out online and how she presents and carries herself.
And that's fine. That's good. Well, I want to kind of speak to one last point that she made towards the end of the video about, her being basically an outcast or being bullied and whatnot. I think, she's right about that. A lot of people with disabilities, doesn't matter if you're in the blind, vision impaired community or if you're in some other disabled community. I think to some extent we all get bullied and teased.
Yes.
In K through 12, especially. And
it's
that's
very mean.
And that's due to a lack of education and a lack of understanding, and not just a lack of education from the kids that are our peers at the time, but it's also a lack of education from the adults that are teaching us. Because when we were growing up in our time period, yes, the ADA was a thing and still is a thing. It's there. It still was fairly new.
The ADA was passed in 1990. You and I were both born 3 years later. Like
3 years later, so it was still. When
they didn't have the ADA. The ADA is only 30 years old. That's not old,
right? So, it's not old. It's different. It's different, and even till it's 2020, and it's still growing. There's still a lot of advocacy going.
There are still things.
That's why the NFB is there. That's why NFB is there. That's why ACB is there, and that's why now, like Molly said, in today's day and age, we have the access to different platforms like this, YouTube, to be able to talk about our disability and share that with our with other folks around the world, and that's great. But I think the one thing that I want to say here is that you know, I think we all have been there. You know, even me when I was growing up, I used to get bullied and teased all the time. So
Oh God,
yes,
I was
I ignored
so
I
bad.
ignored it. I ignored it, and
Yeah.
I just said, forget you guys. You guys don't matter to me. It's not. Um, I can't change your guys' view on how you think of me, but you're not gonna affect me because it's just the way you think. And I think a lot. I think there are people like us who think like that, um, and because we do have the support, or if we have family support, we have some teacher support. I'm not gonna say all teacher support because there were some teachers
I
that
had some
still
teachers
did not
that they
understand what
the
ADA
opposite of
meant
support.
and how to give proper accommodations in
Yeah.
class, even though it was written in my IAP. The teachers did not accommodate me because they were just stubborn.
Yep.
But then there were a lot more handful of teachers that I had throughout my educational career that were more supportive and willing to work with me,
Yeah.
as well as help educate my peers.
Yeah.
To be more aware. Now, if those kids wanted to learn or not learn, that's their decision.
Yeah.
But it was there.
Yeah,
So
like Molly had said,
yeah.
she had a disability mentor. For me,
Yeah.
that mentor was my TVI, my teacher.
Right.
visually
Yeah, same
impaired.
here.
Yeah.
Right? So I think I think all blind and low vision people, as well as other disabled communities, have the same challenges
Yeah.
of being bullied and teased. Um, but and at the end of the day, it's all up to you as the individual with a disability. How are you willing to portray yourself to the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Publicly, in person, as well as publicly now in today's day and age online.
Exactly.
It is how you, and Molly even said, not even people in our community, in the blind and vision impaired community, don't resonate with her. Like, we don't. In some cases, we don't, and that's okay too. Uh, and and that's fine because you have to have critics,
Yeah.
to counteract what people say. So
Yeah.
you can ultimately become better, and their information can be more. There can be a lot more information out there, and then individuals can decipher the information and say what they want to pick and what they think is right and what is wrong.
Yes. I'm sorry. I just read a comment in chat.
Oh, okay.
First off, Blind Press is here. So hi, Blind
Oh.
Press. And she said that she had a lot more good teachers than bad ones when she was in school. I have to let the dog out, otherwise she's going to freak. But I completely agree with that.
Okay.
Because I too had more good ones than I did bad. The bad ones were bad in terms of teachers, but
my bad ones never gave me accommodations and said like my bad ones basically told me like, yeah, your IP says that, but
this is what I'm going to do instead.
and you're not going to get your extra time on your exam, and if I didn't get to finish it, that was my grade.
Yeah.
And that was not fair to me because I was allowed that much time in throughout my school.
Yeah.
But I wasn't very. Now that only really happened to me in elementary school. Once I got to middle school and high school, that changed a lot because.
See, for me, it was the opposite. I have a video coming out next week on this. I was going to put it out this week. I'm doing something different this week about my experience in school because you and I were both mainstreamed.
That's another topic to talk about. Actually,
yeah, it's another topic. But my experience was the opposite, where I had issues with teachers in high school not following my IEP. Versus like elementary school and middle school for the most part. Middle school,
I think,
was smooth sailing.
I think the in my case, it was the advocacy for my parents. I know your parents also advocated for you as well.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it was also
advocate for myself.
But I was learning how to advocate for myself at that time, and I think I did a very good job to the knowledge I could do. Yeah. And that's why when I went to college, when I started my undergrad, I became I had to advocate for myself 110%, infinity basically. Right. It was my duty to advocate for myself.
Because you're in college. There's no.
Because I was in college. Now I could ask again. I can ask for help from the disability services, to say, hey, can you give me access to X, Y, and Z? I need help. And to a certain extent, they will, the disability services would give me that support and help me talk with my professors and, to get my accommodations set. But at the end of the day, it was my job to go ahead and give the letter to the teacher and sit down and talk with them, like I said earlier.
So two things that I just want to highlight in chat real quick. Blind Press, actually 3 things. Blind Press says that she had teachers in high school who always forgot to give notes and assignments to her EA to be brailled, which I feel like that was the issue that my paraprofessional had in terms of giving me my large print work, was that sometimes she wouldn't get it until like minutes.
That was a big thing.
But I also feel like that she just would sometimes forget.
No, I think a lot of it, because like, okay, this is how it worked. For those who don't know, who are on stream here, I don't know if there are any ones who don't know this, but in in K to 12, you have the teacher, and then you have a TA for the teacher for any student who's disabled, because there can be multiple students with disabilities in the same class, and so that TA would basically be accommodating the blind individual in the course, as well as
anybody who has ADHD
anybody else who has an IEP in that same class. So fortunately, I was the only person in that course in my entire education of K through 12. I was the only person with a disability in my class.
Me too.
Now, so I had the ultimate focus, and I was given priority. And when there was an issue, my teachers were great, and they were very, as middle school and high school, I was extended time. So, for example, if my exam wasn't given to me in the proper format, and the exam was had a deadline or whatever, I was extended that deadline to turn it in because of the teacher's mishap.
Yeah, that's what happened to me, because more often than not, and I talked about this in the video I recorded, whenever I would get my exam, whenever there would be an exam, more often than not, it wasn't enlarged. So I would have to sit there for like 20 minutes or whatever, like when everybody else was doing the test. And it's like, well, where's my test?
Right. Or there'd just be some times where the teacher would say, because it's just a little thing. It's just, okay, you're not going to participate in this thing because it's just too much to.
Yeah, I had
it
that
was too much. It was just because it's just too much for them to accommodate you.
Hold on.
It was too much to accommodate you because they had a deadline, and because you were the only person in the classroom, they didn't want to spend the extra time to do that because they're on a tight schedule.
Right.
And so sometimes you lost out on some education, and it's unfortunate that the system worked like that. I'm sure now in today's day and age with technology, today's kids have a lot better opportunity and a lot better chances of being able to participate in things a lot more easier than we did, because back then things were still paper, pencil exams for the most part.
But I know that there are still some people now, like Gabby right now is saying in chat that she's in undergrad, and her university does not have a good disability services department, and she's having a lot of trouble getting accommodations. And she literally just wrote a comment in chat that a professor once slammed the door in her face And it's like, and this is all up to the individual, because you can have a student with a disability approach the professor or the teacher and talk to them and be like, hey, just want to let you know, these are my accommodations. This is what my IEP says. This is what whatever says. But it's up to the professor or the teacher or whatever to listen and to have a dialogue and to adhere to that.
Right. And that's why, and that's why, as a blind or visually impaired person or any person with any disability, before attending a university or any kind of a college, part of your responsibility, and this is not your fault, Gabby, I'm just saying this in general to anybody who is going to start college or wants to go back to school, is it is your responsibility to look at the services offered by your school for persons with disabilities. You need to look at the office of what is their extent of service to you.
But sometimes they could be great if you go for like a college, like, you know, open day, whatever, like an open campus, like to like meet all the different department heads, whatever. Sometimes they could look great upon first glance, but then you don't really know until you.
That's why you make a one-on-one, and that's the suggestion for me. I mean, and what I did when I went to school is, before attending the first day of school, like orientation, whatever, I asked to come in and make a one-on-one appointment with the Disability Services Office.
Yeah.
And speak with the counselor there and say, hey, I am planning to attend your school in fall. You know, I'm graduating from high school, but I want to attend this program at this university. What are your options? And what do you offer people with disabilities? You know, to help them in their educational career. And that's what I did personally. But see, again, self-advocacy. Again, you have to put your foot out there and say, I am blind. I cannot see.
Yes.
What are you going to do to help me?
Exactly. Like, you know, I had a situation where I went to a university, like, come and see the campus, meet the professors, whatever. It was a college that I had applied to, and it was a private university. And later on, I did end up getting accepted. However, I had a discussion with the head of the department for the disability services, you know, just like introducing myself and being like, hi, I'm visually impaired. And the guy was like, yeah, okay, like just nodding and agreeing with everything that I was saying. And I'm like,
and so that's why that's why again, unfortunately, as people with disabilities, these universities have these facilities, but they're not always the best. That's why part of your university search has to be, what are the external services offered to you outside of your program. Not fund services, but services to help you with your
right. Because the university that I did end up going to, I knew somebody who went there who was completely blind, and she had said very good things about their disability services, and I, you know, had gone there for their thing and talked to their disability services, and they were like, well, you know, she gets these accommodations, and I'm like, okay. Just so you know, mine are going to be slightly different because I have low vision. I'm not a Braille reader necessarily. So I just really need my stuff electronically. And then if it can't be electronically, somehow
can we get scanned in? Yeah.
Like
so
scanned, printed, whatever.
And the thing is, you have to continuously work with them, because for my situations, at least when I was doing my undergrad here, even though they'll be scanned in electronically, sometimes the PDF would be an image, so I had to go back and tell them, like, can you please go back and rescan this so this is a readable text versus I know we're going way off topic of this Molly Burke
that's okay
thing, but again, that's, you know, this is a whole topic for another time that we can always go into.
Well, I do have another comment that I wanted to say earlier, that a friend of mine had put in chat, saying that Molly's mentor must have told her to turn her blindness into business.
Again, these can be rumors. I would like to say one fact here.
Assuming, like,
I don't know
based on her content.
Right, but I don't know where her mentor is from. Again, I don't know. As far as, like, what is her mentor's affiliation with other places, because you have to think about the fact of what is NFB's mission versus ACB's affiliation.
Right, and Molly is not a member of either.
And Molly's not. I mean, and what are their missions and what are their goals?
Right.
You know,
at the end of the thing, like when Mark Riccobono comes back on, you know, he's the NFB president. He had said, "Oh, thank you, Molly. I hope that you'll consider becoming a member of our community and becoming more active in the NFB." And I mean, okay, listen, like my feelings about the NFB aside, I don't see her
becoming a part of any either or.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see her becoming involved in any organization. When she was younger, she had said in the discussion that she spoke for Foundation Fighting Blindness, which can sometimes be seen as controversial. Foundation Fighting Blindness. I don't really know much about them, but I know that sometimes people have a lot to say about them when they come up at conventions. But, you know, I personally, a person watching Molly's content on YouTube, not knowing anything about her, do not think that she would necessarily fit some of the philosophy of the NFB, going off of what I know of the NFB philosophy. And I don't think she would fit the philosophy of ACB either.
Okay, and just to be clear here, as a blind or visually impaired individual, you do not have to be affiliated with any organization if you so wish to.
I know some people who are not affiliated with any, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's your monies that you know because you have to pay dues.
Right.
So it's your time, it's your money, and it's your choice if you want to be affiliated with these affiliates, either or ACB or NFB. But the point here I'm trying to get across is, if you're a part of either or affiliation, if you feel that you're comfortable in either or, you know, you're gonna have a source of community. You're gonna have a source of friendships. You're gonna find people who are like-minded, who are in similar fields, who have gone into similar situations. And if you feel isolated in from where you live because of you finding that there's no other people like you in your community or state that you live in, it's a great place for you to find those connections.
Yeah.
You know, look.
Do some outreach.
Do some, and you know, I suggest before even becoming an affiliate with either or ACB or NFB, you become.
Some people are involved in both.
You can be involved in whatever, but be a part of your state affiliate for either organization or both, because your state chapter will automatically make you an affiliate with the national chapter.
Right.
At least from the
same with special interest affiliates.
Yeah, same with special interest affiliates that are from your chapter, from your state as well. But that's my take on it. You know, just pick and choose. But again, if you want to integrate yourself into the sighted community and want to ignore the blind community as a whole and total,
that's fine.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
But Dianna and I, we choose to affiliate with one of these organizations because we enjoyed having the camaraderie and building the friendships and meeting new people.
So
and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It makes, and these don't always, these organizations don't only allow you to make friendships, but these conferences sometimes can lead to, you know, some sort of a job interview or even finding a job.
You and I met at an ACB convention. This relationship, aside from that, you know, people say about convention, whatever, but like you and I met very briefly one year at a national conference. And like, if neither of us had been involved in ACB or
we would have met.
We wouldn't have met, and now here we are.
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's not all. going to convention, it is kind of creepy to start a relationship sometimes, or
no, it's not necessarily
not creepy, but
attendees can be creepy.
Some of the attendees can be creepy, but so sometimes you need to keep.
You just have to be aware of your
surroundings. It just for us particularly, we just got very lucky.
Well, yeah, because we're both like normal people. So about chat.
Read the chat. I'm done talking here.
That's fine. So my friend Chris, you guys should follow him. Logic Pro X Gaming. He does Minecraft and Guitar Hero. He's visually impaired. I've known him for a very long time. He's a cool dude. He says, if her mentor had been remotely as realistic as most blind people who take issue with her representation, she would not be acting this way. And then he says, my partner wants to talk to her about how she gets along in showers, going back to Molly having once made a comment about how she gets very disoriented while taking a shower due to her vision. But however, the other relevant thing I see here is I'm a former 15-year veteran of the Federation. They would eat her alive, which kind of goes back to what I said. Like, I can't personally see her being a member of not only the NFB, but also the ACB.
I just think she's an independent person, and that's okay. That's her choice. Yeah. But she's, and that's anybody's choice.
Yeah, and so he also says, and I agree with this, and I'm a full-fledged like ACB person, but I agree with what he's saying about NFB. He says, I don't think the Federation standards for blind people are unrealistic, but the way they try to force them on people who wish not to meet them is. Mm-hmm. And I do agree with that, because from an outsider's perspective, me looking at the NFB, and I was involved with them very briefly, which I'll talk about tomorrow night in a stream with a panel that we're doing. It looks like that they do want blind people to fit into a mold that they have, and whether or not that is true is beside the point.
There is a mold that you need to have. I think I'm just going to be very general here. One of those molds is you must use a straight cane, not a folding cane. A folding cane is taboo.
Yes, I've heard that from a few people who.
I know that. I mean, I don't know how if it's still the case today, but when I first was introduced to the NFB through my commission a while back, a long time ago, I would say, at this point, a lot of basically everybody used straight canes. Mm-hmm. And I only got introduced to straight canes when I started going to my commission for services, right? Because my TVIs through school were gave me all folding canes. And I prefer that because it fits in your pocket or it fits in your backpack.
It fits in your back. But your school for the blind in Hawaii, which is where you get your commission services from, they are affiliated with NFB, right? Or no? Or they have a lot of the same practices?
They have a lot of same practice. I'm not going to say a direct affiliation because I can't say direct affiliation, and I don't want to say things that I may or may not know. But I do know that they follow a lot of the NFB practices. Yeah. But I don't know what the direct and indirect
so
may be.
Chris says about the cane thing. That's interesting because the Federation does sell folding canes now.
They do.
Yeah. And then he also said, which is something that I had kind of touched upon, but like in a different scenario in terms of Molly. I'm just trying to imagine someone that uses her financial, did I read that right? Yeah. Financial fortune to get around most issues.
Can I mention one thing about her?
So basically, he's talking about like how she has, she's very fortunate. She's very fortunate, but she doesn't. From what I understood from the comment, she doesn't experience the same issues that us as blind people do, and therefore does not need to go to an NFB training center.
Listen,
but I don't know.
So this is my opinion, at least. I don't know if Dianna, you agree with me or not, as much as she wants to portray online that she is an independent woman and she does everything on her own,
but we know that
if you really analyze her content, she gets a lot of help from her mother, especially,
and now her boyfriend, apparently, because he lives with her.
Her boyfriend. But prior to that, she has a staff behind her that supports her from the back end on her YouTube channel. I don't know how much they support her otherwise off camera, but it sounds like there's some older videos that we have seen, both of us have seen. They drive her around, they take her places. Heck, she wanted to buy a car so someone can drive her around.
Well, she wanted to buy a car because
the whole Uber thing.
Right. Because she was getting denied. For people in chat who may not know context, Molly had gotten denied a lot by Uber drivers because she has a guide dog. I know that there are some guide dog handlers here in chat. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this.
The point I'm getting at,
she wanted to buy a car to avoid getting denied by Uber drivers because of her service animal.
Yeah, but the point I'm getting at is 99% of the blind community cannot afford to buy a car. Yep. To have someone, either a family member or a friend, driving them around 24/7.
Right.
Because that means they're gonna have to pay that individual too for their services, and they can't afford that either. So, again, you have to keep in mind that she is the 1% of the blind community that has the money to do that. And if you think of her past recent videos, I think 3 videos back, she mentioned that she's paying for 2 apartments, one for her mom, one for herself. Now this is off topic, but again,
I don't have the money to pay for one apartment, let alone 2.
Hitting back to the point that she is the 1% of the blind community that can afford to pay a rent in a really nice area, in a secure building, in a safe place. It's very nice. It's very fortunate that she's able to do that. Mm-hmm. And you and I are also fortunate in different ways. Because fortunately we have support from our parents and our family support. There are blind individuals out there, maybe even in the comments, that may be struggling, that are struggling even more because they may not have the family support that both of us have. So there's that. So there's that aspect too. So we have to look at it in that positive light, that we do have, we are fortunate in different ways. Yeah.
So Kayla says here that, judging by her having read, because she read Molly's book, she has seen a few of her videos, and in her perspective, it looks like a lot of things are handed to her, which, yes, you are correct. And yes, Chris, that is why her mother moved out. It's because her boyfriend moved in. Her mother moved down the hall. There's a whole video about that where she preps her apartment for her boyfriend on Molly's channel. Molly is paying for rent for her apartment as well as her mother's apartment. And yeah, so, and then here's another thing. He says, I consider myself part of the 1%, like in terms of the blind community, and Molly lives a lot nicer than I do, which is really saying something, like, because some people, like, listen, you can move out and get an apartment or move out and buy a house, and that's amazing. But I don't know anybody who's able to move out and live the life that Molly is living. And it's good for her. I'm very happy that she is so fortunate. But, like, at the same time, it's like she is not, in my opinion, representing the authentic experience of blindness.
In the blind community, because the 99% of blind individuals live paycheck to paycheck or on some sort of social security or aid. They can't afford health care, so they have to get Medicare or Medicaid, depending on their age.
There's a very high rate of underemployment and unemployment in the disability community anyway. We already know that.
Yeah, and that's also a factor. And or some people don't want to work. We talked about this already, because they're going to lose their aid and then they're going to lose their housing due to that too. So again, there are all these other factors that fall into this. That's why we keep saying and hinting that she is the 1%, and that's great that she's sharing her experience as the 1%. But the sighted community, I need to be very clear on this. The sighted community needs to know and needs to keep in mind that she is the 1% and cannot be the poster child of the blind community and the disabled community as a whole, regardless of your disability, to say that, okay, look at this girl, she's the poster child of the blind community, and um, all blind people gotta be like her.
Yeah.
Like, no, that can't be the case because of her financial stability.
Right.
Because other and now blind people and other people now, we can be successful. We can be successful.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can't.
Because there are a lot of successful blind
because
people.
there are a lot of successful blind people.
But Molly is very, very much in the spotlight of the public eye.
But you also have to keep in mind that a lot of blind people have a much. No, I don't like to stereotype or put stuff in here, but if you consider the education part of things, like the amount of education she has, to the amount of wealth she has, to the amount of education other blind individuals may have, to the amount of wealth they have, if you compare that comparison doesn't line up either.
Right, because she only has her high school diploma.
Yeah, she's only a high school graduate.
Yeah,
she has no
people who don't.
And she has
on
no
higher education, but she's very fortunate.
She's very fortunate that out of her high school diploma, she got to where she is. A lot of blind people end up maybe getting an associate's degree at the minimum, because that's all they can afford due to their financial status, and that's fair. There are other individuals who
have to stop for any other number of reasons.
Yeah, and there are other, and I'm just mentioning one, but there are thousands of reasons why.
Like you started a master's program.
Right.
My bachelor's. There are other people who are in this community who are very highly educated. Who have,
law degrees.
There are plenty of people. There are plenty of blind people who are lawyers and work in the STEM field and various things like that. So actually, Chris makes a good point with what we're talking about. He says, that worries me as her YouTube career is not going to last forever, which is exactly what you've been saying to me, Onkar. He says, I would encourage her to get some independence while she has the resources before it runs out. And that also, in my opinion, goes in line with education. Because what if YouTube is gone tomorrow?
Right. She's
what is she going to do? She was a motivational speaker, yes, but at the same time, she does not really have like a resume to get started working at let's say a standard like administrative office job, for example. She has a high school degree, and she has spent a lot of her formative years public speaking and being in the spotlight and being on YouTube and doing showbiz type things, which is good.
And she has modeling experience. She has some modeling. You can't deny she doesn't have any modeling experience because she has.
She modeled for Aerie. She's probably not modeling for other places. But
so
I only
at
know
the end of the day, to be honest, after some time does go on, these other things that she does do online kind of can can go over the process of that and can overlook that, but she does need a higher education at minimum.
I agree. Christina says the same thing. Like, how is she going to survive? Like, if YouTube is gone tomorrow, like what? And not just her, but other YouTubers, because I follow other YouTubers who don't have like college degrees or whatever. Like, what's going to happen to these big successful people whose like only source of income is this platform?
Yeah, and again, that's a choice that they make. Either due to financial reasons or due to their other aspects they would like to pursue in life, and that is their decision. That is not for us to judge.
Yeah, so Chris says that he's seen entire YouTube channels demonetized overnight for no publicly available reason. I can't read today. It's very careless of her to put all of her eggs in one basket, and in an unstable basket rather, because again, that goes back to what we're saying. That goes back to what you've told me a lot over the past like month or so on Car, because like, you know, we talk about Molly a lot for some reason. And it's like, okay, here we have this woman. She's a very popular blind YouTuber.
Successful.
She is very successful. She is not educated, because now you need a degree to get a job. Like, you really do, no matter how you spin it. Like, you have to have some sort of degree from my experience if you want to make some sort of income.
You know, and now after the pandemic, it's even
the
more.
Pandemic has made everything a lot more difficult.
More difficult because now you have all these higher level executives who have many years of experience plus in education who are going for lower tier positions because they can't get because that's either what's becoming available. Easy, because easy money, right?
Yeah.
Because and us people who are fairly new to the market, including myself, are getting thrown out the window because
we have disabilities.
And because of the disabilities. So again, and like I said, I'm getting in higher education. So that's one reason why I'm actually getting higher education, is because I feel that right now is the time to do that while I can.
Yeah.
And
job market is awful. Like, why not?
Once the pandemic kind of takes its course and we're able to get back to work in either in a virtual setting or an in-person setting, I can be more marketable to companies regardless of my disability in my field of study.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify.
We're just rambling here, by the way. So
no,
now we're just gone off.
Commenter said that she thinks Molly was in some kind of television business back when she was in Canada. So no, she was a motivational speaker for Foundation Fighting Blindness, which I knew she was a motivational speaker. However, for some reason, I thought that was for CNIB, not for Foundation Fighting Blindness. I don't know where I got that from. However, it was recently brought to my attention by someone that her father had created Canada's only audio described television station, which my friend Jack actually said to me once, hey, if you're ever in Canada, check out AMI, the audio described television station. And I'm like, hey, Jack, funny story, Molly Burke's father created that for her. Which is great, because he's giving people access to media, like blind people access to media, like audio.
And that's good. But you know what's kind of funny is that she has never mentioned that very recently, or it's not very publicized.
She hasn't mentioned it at all.
I feel like that's at all. If you think about it, like I heard it from,
in the Q&A videos that she and her mom did, but
but never told about that she did.
She never mentioned it.
She never mentioned that. I mean, don't tell us the personal stuff, but I mean, I feel like that's like a significant part of her.
Well, it's not even a personal thing. It's like, hey, in case y'all are wondering if you're blind
if you're in Canada, here's the TV you can watch.
Here's this thing, and like, by the way, my dad created it
for me when I was younger, and it's now available to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, to the rest.
I'm sorry if that's the noise. I think that's the bus outside my window.
It's okay. Fawn was barking earlier. It's fine. So basically, I've been streaming for 3 hours, or 2.5 hours rather, because I started at 3:30 instead of 3, like I initially thought.
Anyway, I think we had a great conversation.
Kayla just said that she doesn't think that Molly even mentioned the television station in her book, which is fascinating to me, because like I feel like that would be an important thing to mention at least once. Mm-hmm. She did do a Dove commercial for somebody who thinks that.
Yeah, she did. She did do a Dove commercial.
Yes, she did do a Dove commercial.
And an area commercial.
That wasn't a commercial.
I mean, ad.
They used her modeling photos on their website to promote their underwear. But yes, she did do a Dove commercial. It was on TV a few years ago.
You can find it on YouTube if you really want to.
You can find it on YouTube. She has talked about it in the past in videos, she really hams up the whole blindness thing in the Dove commercial, from what I remember.
There's actually a whole YouTube video on her channel about her commercial.
Of course there is. Well,
after the fact. Yeah. So if you really want to see her perspective on it, you can just go to her
And
channel.
if none of you know who this lady is and have never watched any of her content, I really urge you to go to her channel and watch literally any video of hers, especially one of the new ones. Oh, so she did a Samsung commercial that aired during the Oscars. Yes, she did, Christina. Yes. And that was the night that she got denied by the Uber driver because she had Gallup with her and she got angry and wanted to buy a car. That is what spurred this whole thing.
And then also, I would like to also mention that any of her collaborations she's done on YouTube have been with big figures. I'm not going to mention any names here. I don't think we should mention any big figure names due to their current
some
statuses.
Of the people she's collabed with have been found out to be awful people.
So, and regardless of that, it's not we don't want to get into that realm. But none of them have had any kind of disability. They're all
able-bodied people.
They're all, people with big name, big brands, and very highly known YouTubers who are sighted individuals. So again, she hasn't really done.
I think she may have collabed once or twice with other blind content creators, but when she did, from what I heard, she had made it all about her.
Exactly. I know she used to do, and she used to do videos with her doctor, I believe, at one point.
Probably. I don't know.
I forget doctor somebody. I forget.
Probably. That wouldn't surprise me.
About her site and whatever at one point, and those are kind of interesting.
She needs to collaborate with people like Tommy Edison or Kayla with a C, or even you, Dianna. She would not collaborate with me. If she, I 100%, if she knew who I was, and have seen, because you guys know I've been vocal about my opinions on her on Twitter. If she connected the dots and knew that was me, she would not collaborate with me. I can see her doing a collaboration with Kayla or with Tommy Edison, especially because Tommy has a very large following and they know each other. They did. Tommy was on an accessibility panel at VidCon a few years ago. Molly was in the audience at that panel, but she would not. Yeah, exactly. Chris just said it. She would not put herself in a situation where someone would be critical of her. And she did do a collab with Tommy. Christina says that she did a collab with Tommy Edison. So that is going to
come back inside.
Fawn is not coming back inside right now. That will have to be for another day because I have to find that collab. So I'm very interested in it. And I'm assuming it wasn't done recently because I personally like Tommy's content. I think he's a great guy. He watched my first ever live stream that I did a couple of weeks ago, and he followed me and DM'd me on Twitter and said that I did a good job. And that was the highlight of my week. And Molly Burke would never. Just putting that out there.
I agree. Anyway.
It's
been around 3 hours, 2.5, almost 3 hours.
It's been a while, and it's getting late. I have to eat dinner. You probably have to
have lunch soon.
Because it's
and then
something.
Doing homework.
And then you have coursework, and then I have something. I don't know.
So I can get a good grade for this first week of school.
Yeah.
What am I doing talking to you on live stream?
Christina says the collab was 4 years ago, so that gives me at least a time frame where I should look for it.
Okay. Well, anyway, it was great talking with you, Dianna. And again, guys, me and Dianna will be doing a podcast soon. It's coming soon, so please join the Twitter and give a Twitter handle.
Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning of the video, but
just plug it again. Plug it again.
Oh my god. I talked about it at the beginning. We're doing a podcast. We're going to start recording soon. I don't know when. We don't have a release date set because everything is crazy right now. But follow us on Twitter. It is CanYouSeeUs_pod. That is CanYouSeeUs. SEEUS_POD. And we will be posting updates there, and it will be available wherever you listen to a podcast, as well as here on YouTube. So that's that. We really hope that you guys are going to listen. It's going to be about, blindness, various experiences with it, sharing our own stories, as well as bringing on guests occasionally to share different perspectives, because,
and different topics, so I want to say similar topics to this, but I would say, we're not going to talk more about people. We'll talk more about different topics that are related.
Yeah, we're going to be more centered around our own experiences and not talking about other people's experiences, except obviously if we have a guest, then we'll all talk about the same thing. But you guys, you get it.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of
so Chris just said I need link bots for streams, so I set up Nightbot, and it doesn't seem to be working, and I don't know why. So I have to talk to Shay or Blind Press about that, because I know that Blind Press uses StreamYard and also has Nightbot in her streams. So maybe I didn't enable it properly. That's probably what happened.
Maybe next time, if it's possible, if you could bring me on as an editor or a person
I can make you a moderator.
A moderator for the channel, or a moderator.
Because then if I make you a moderator for my channel, you can moderate the chat.
Right, I can do that for you. Next time you go live, I can just be a moderator for you, and I'll just be quiet and won't say anything.
Yeah. But
and I can just talk to you and get your
Okay, yeah. So the collab with Tommy was back when she was in Canada. Okay, so we'll have to take a look at that. Maybe talk about that in another video.
Post some links in when this video goes after this live is being recorded and goes on your channel, then you can at least put those links, maybe some of those links into the
I think that because I already did the description for this when I was setting everything up to go live. So I linked the NFB thing with the timestamp, and I linked the Apple Watch thing, which I feel like we talked about a year ago at this point. But I think that
you can add the links to these other sources that you're talking about.
Yeah. So with that, it's been really great talking with you, Ankar, and with chat, and with Tony when he was here for 5 minutes.
I think he dropped out, and
he went to go do an interview, actually. So that should be interesting to hear that. But anyway, we're gonna go. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me, Diana. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm so glad that you could come. I think this was fun.
It is fun. We should do this more often.
I agree.
But maybe not talk about people.
Maybe not talk about Molly Burke. Yeah.
I'll talk about other topics. I mean, again, that's what the podcast is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the podcast is for.
Yeah. So anyway,
bye.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Of course.
Do I have to hang up here, or are you going to hang up?
I'll end the broadcast, and it should just end everything.
Oh, okay.